Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about the India-US relationship, the complex dynamics and why despite the betrayal and humiliation over and over again, India still cannot move away from US completely. I would call it an unequal partnership in many ways. Now this is not to say that India does not have a free foreign policy. India is one of the most free countries in terms of foreign policy, but we also have limitations. That's why I say one of the most and not entirely free because for many of our needs we depend on US. And we'll discuss that in detail later. And this is not just about Donald Trump. I will show you how it's been there for so many years and it is continuing today and it will continue in the future as well. You must have heard this phrase, and this is something I want to talk about. People have been saying India and US are democracies, they have shared values, and thus we must partner together. That's not true. We have a problem. We Indians have a problem that anyone says anything good about India, we forget everything else they have done. Be it a YouTube creator that comes and talks something about India, we flood them with millions of views. Some government says something good about India, some leader says something good about India, and we're like, wow, this is the best leader, this is the best nation, friends, we are friends. Nobody is your friend. There have been instances where even Russia has hurt our interest. There have been instances where, you know, China has supported us because it supports their interest. There are no friends, there are no enemies. If you benefit a nation in some or the other way, they will benefit you. If not, then they will go against you. Today, a lot of people think Iran is our friend because Iran has been given so many statements in favor of India. The same Iran few years ago was ready to attack India on behalf of Pakistan, or at least support Pakistan in the attack against India. Now, I'm not saying Iran is our enemy because of that. Just know nobody is your friend, nobody is your enemy. Just because someone says something good about our country once, you don't have to go and become crazy behind them that this person loves our country and we must support them. No, you must support your country's interests. The day these people go against you, for example, Trump, before Trump won his second presidency, everyone was like, Trump should win because he's beneficial for India, he's India's friend, he will do so much for India. And we can see what he's doing today. That should be a clear example for you why there is no friend, no enemy. It's all about interests. It's not about democracy that India and US are democracies. If US cared so much about democracy, why is it so close to Saudi Arabia? Why is it so close to UAE? Why is it so close to so many Middle Eastern nations? They don't even have an ounce of democracy in them. Indian US relationship is based on milestones, on achievements like the US civil nuclear deal, the strategic partnerships that we have signed, different defense agreements we have signed, different logistics agreement we have signed, economic agreements we have signed. These things make our relationship strong and not values and culture and all of that. But in all of this, you will see a lot of humiliation and betrayal for India. If you see when Nixon was the president, they used really foul language for the then Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi. They used abusive words for her, quite literally insulting the whole nation by insulting the leader of the country. They supported Pakistan. They, in fact, were ready to attack India. And India back then was a much weaker nation. Yes, we won the war, but when compared to US and US military, we didn't stand much chance. It was for USSR that actually came and because it suited their interest, USSR's interest to guard India, they helped India kind of wave off the US attack. But you see, US was willing to attack us and kill millions of our people to support Pakistan. If you see Pokhran, US wanted to isolate us. It put sanctions on us and it forced other countries to put sanctions on us. Even today, if you see many major US uh, equipments, defense equipments are in Pakistan and being used by the Pakistani military. Afghanistan is one of the most recent example of why US has so many times put Indian interests at risk. Look, to withdraw or to not withdraw from Afghanistan was US's choice, but India also had some interest there. India had stakes there. India had invested more than $3 billion in schools, in the new parliament, in dams and hospitals, and so many other investments, not just financial but political and social. And all of it was destroyed because US just wanted to pull out of Afghanistan as quickly as possible. They didn't take into account India's interest. They didn't take into account the problems India may face. They left so many advanced weapons that terrorist networks have got their hands on and are now using. So many terrorist groups have again gained influence, have gained more power, and they are acting against India. It is very clear. Again, if you see technology transfers, US has been very hesitant to transfer technology. US keeps saying buy from us, but we won't give you technology. You keep buying from us. For a nation like India that talks about Atmanirbhar, that is not a good sign, that we have to keep buying weapons from you and you will not give us the technology. Again, there was a few years ago the Niger affair, where basically what is still happening in US, there are groups that want to divide India, that want India to go into chaos, and I- India has kept asking US to act against these people. And US says, well, it is free speech, we can't act against them. But the fact is, if someone speaks something against the president, they are being, harassed, they are being sent to jail, and so many other things are happening. So you can surely also take care of Indian interests. If you are willing to stop criticism of the president, then you don't have the right to say, well, free speech, and so we will let people talk about dividing your country. So these are moments, and these will keep happening. If you think it has happened in the past, you can see what Trump is doing, how much he's insulting and hurting Indian interests. It has happened in the past, it is happening today, and it will keep happening. And that is where the point comes, that despite all of this, India can't move away from US. You call it dependence, you call it long-term thinking, whatever you want to call it. The truth is, India cannot move away from US. If it comes to economy, look, the elephant in the room is China. The US humiliation, the US betrayal from time to time is not as massive as the challenge that China poses in front of India. China is militarily and economically ahead of us. Many people do not like to hear this, but that is the truth. Militarily, we can still defend ourselves. We are very much capable. The Indian defense forces are very much capable to defend themselves. But economically, they have gone far ahead. We may say whatever we like, but they are somewhere around a $20 trillion economy, and we still struggle at around 4. We will become $10 trillion in the next, what, a decade or so, and they will reach above $20 trillion by then. So they're far ahead from us economically. Manufacturing, they are the manufacturing giant of the world. I mean, we may use phones that write made in India, but so many parts in the phones are made in China. Our medicines, so many raw materials for our medicines come from China. I mean, go to any shop, go to any place, you will certainly find so many Chinese products or products containing Chinese items in them. So not just the world, but India too is economically dependent on China in many ways. And remember, this growth, China, it was possible only because of US. US invested heavily in China, and so China could boost its manufacturing, and now India hopes for the same investment. The sad part is that investment has not come, but some of it has come. For example, Apple investing in India, but the investments have not been as much as we would like it to be. But the fact remains, if our manufacturing has to be strengthened, we do need a lot of investments to come from US. So we can't move away from US. We have to move closer to them. Technology. US is the technologically most advanced nation in the world. So for a lot of technology also we will depend on them. Security. Well, Indian Defense Forces, as I said, are very much capable of defending themselves, but some of the equipments we use are US equipments. A lot of intelligence sharing happens with US. US satellite networks are much more deeper and more advanced than ours. We have worked on that on the past few years, but even today, to get proper intelligence, we still have to cooperate with US. We cannot move away from US and expect that all of these partnerships will continue. So for our long-term future, we depend on US for many things. We want to kind of become a semiconductor hub. Again, we will need US help, US investments, US technology transfers, US companies to come and produce in India. And some people may say, well, we can move to Russia, we can go to other nations. Europe is very fragmented. Europe, yes, you can sign trade deal with EU and etc., but you will need to get all the countries individually, like France, Germany, UK, so many other countries to come together and kind of work with you. And still, if you see, US still holds more power than them, more economic might than them, more technology than them in many cases. Russia. Russia can provide us weapons, but not investments. Russia cannot provide us a lot of investments in manufacturing sectors. China is much closer to Russia than we are. That is the harsh reality today. You or I may like it. Russia itself may not like the fact that they depend on China so much, but Russia cannot act against China. It's economically dependent on China. Russia sells a lot of its oil to China. It buys a lot of Chinese products. So Russia is more close to China today than it is to India. So we cannot just move to Russia and think it's a replacement for US. The fact is there is no replacement for US. US is the economic giant even today, it's a technological giant even today, it's a security giant even today. And for our long-term interests and to counter China, we need US support and partnership. And these are statements of so many people. Some people have, I like the Stephens statement that India and US are like two porcupines trying to hug. They want to be close, but the prickles of history, mistrust, and divergent interest make genuine intimacy extremely difficult to achieve. So, this is a very kind of clear statement of what's going on. We know porcupines. Porcupines have thorns on them, so they're really pokey. So, he's saying India and US are two porcupines trying to hug. So, that means they're going to poke each other. They want to hug means they want to partner, they want to be together and move ahead together. But the fact is that they are porcupines and it will always hurt. This relationship will always have mistrust. You know, the historical context will always be there. The mistrust, the change in leadership will always affect the relationship between these nations. There are others who talk about how important this relationship is, but it is a very complex relationship. It is not, okay, we are having a good relationship, that's all. No, it is a very complex relationship. We are partnering on so many of the different things like defense, economy. At the same time, US is funding a nation that actually carries out terrorist activities in our country, that is Pakistan. It is funding their army, it is indirectly funding the terrorist groups through IMF, through direct aid transfers, and so many other things. And at the same time, India and US are deepening their cooperation. So you see how complicated and complex this relationship is. And well, what drives Indian policy? One is Chinese containment, one is economic dependence. In many ways, we trade a lot with US, we export a lot to US, technology, economy, so many other factors are there that make our relationship so harsh and yet so important for us. A way forward is there for India. It's not that India has to always continue listening to this humiliation and betrayal. One thing India has to do is be a bit more firm. I mean, you see every other day someone is coming and saying something about India. Someday the president, someday the commerce secretary, someone or the other is coming and saying something humiliating about India. Someone is coming and saying, in a week later, India will come begging to us, and we don't take a firm stand. We are not acting, we are punching below our weight. We are not a nation that has to sit down and actually listen to all these insults. We can reply and we can show them that, well, okay, we will partner with you, we will not ruin our relationship, but we are willing to take some, risks to ensure we have the respect we deserve, because we are a nation that deserves respect. Yes, today we may not have very developed cities, we may not have the largest economy, we may not be a manufacturing giant, but we are a nation with a lot of potential and we have achieved a lot of things. We are a nation that has respect and you must acknowledge that, and we must actually have a policy that makes sure we do that. It shouldn't be anyone is coming and telling us whatever they like and we just sit and a maximum statement comes out from the foreign ministry that it is a really sad thing, this we strongly condemn this, etc., etc. Very muted statements come out. That's the most we do. So we have to make sure we take a more firm stand. Second, we have to build domestic capacity. There is no other option. As long as you're dependent for technology and for economic growth on other nations, they will keep doing what they like and you will have no option. We must actually, and not just for the sake of speeches and elections, we must actually come together as a nation and work on building our domestic capacity. I mean, we have to go beyond the petty fights we are having in our nation, the petty politics we are doing in our nation. Not everything has to be about image making and everything about giving a good speech. We must actually get on the ground, see the problems and start working on them. Yes, we will still need outside help, outside investment, but there are a lot of things we can do ourselves. So we must work on actually being Atmanirbhar and not just saying it for the sake of saying it. And these are some things we can do. And to end it here, uh, as I said, what we must do is the same thing on the slide. It is an unequal partnership in many ways. US is the much stronger one here. India has surprisingly, considering how much more powerful economically and militarily US is, India has surprisingly maintained a large independence in its foreign policy. Yes, it is very much influenced by what US thinks or says and US foreign policy makers, but India still takes a stand for itself on many occasions. So that is there, but despite that, it is an unequal relationship. US is the more powerful one here, and we are more dependent on US than US is on us. And so, as I said before, the things that have happened in the past will keep happening. The humiliation, betrayal will keep happening. You will again see a news that a few $500 million have been given to Pakistan for maintenance of their fighter jets and etc. etc. IMF loans have been sanctioned, and you will keep hearing this news. You will keep hearing people who are trying to divide India living happily in US. You will keep hearing statements that insult India and its people, and we will still have no option but to go closer to them. But we can surely try to be more firm and actually work to strengthen our capacity domestically. India is a self-respecting nation with a lot of potential, but it is time we actually make something out of it. Just saying we have potential all the time is not enough. 20, 30 years down the line, it won't matter whether we had potential or not. What will matter is, did we turn a 3, $4 trillion economy into a $15 trillion economy? 20, 30 years down the line, it won't matter that India has demographic dividend. What will matter is our population educated? Is there peace and stability in our nation? Is there economic growth in our nation? Is our per capita income higher or not? These things will matter and not our potential. So we must work to make sure that our potential does not go wasted. So I hope you got some idea on the complex nature of India-US relationship. And if you have any suggestions, please leave a comment. If you disagree with something, please again leave a comment. If you agree, I would like to hear that too. And thank you, and I'll see you again in another video.